Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, heard Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on PSA.com and the PSA Facebook page. The Great American Collectibles Show is brought to you by PSA and the National Sports Collectors Convention. Tonight's headlines are brought to you by Sports Collectors Daily. For all of your hobby news, features, and more, visit sportscollectorsdaily.com. And now, your hosts, Tom Zappala and John Molori.
JM, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, bud?
Good. Hey, will you bring the PS, what do they call that stuff? 30 or 50 that you spray in your back for the sun? Yeah, just put it here. Yeah. When I go out to the pool in the 80-degree weather, I'll okay.
Maybe she wants to bring you a razor first before you put any suntan lotion on your back.
How you doing, buddy? How's everything up in the North Country?
It's cold. It's snowing. And I hate you. So,
well, it's cold and snowing here. Hey, welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show. Tom Zappala and my good pal and co-host Johnny Molori, affectionately known as JM. Hey, we've got a good show today. We've got the Voice. We call him the Voice. That's his new nickname.
He is the
Voice. Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auctions is going to be with us for the whole hour.
Yep.
But we also have Scotty Russell from the Collector Connection. You know, this guy, he works harder than anyone. He really does, man. He's always got something going. Works his ass off. But he's got a great business.
Yep.
First, headlines, then a programming note, and then we're going to get to Mike. Burglaries, 3 hobby shops, 1 night. Law enforcement agencies in Northwest Florida are investigating multiple hobby shop burglaries that took place in a matter of 2 hours, JM, at least 2 of which resulted in 6-figure losses.
Yeah.
Reports say 4 people broke into the Instant Replay Sports Card on Highway 231 in Panama City last Thursday, smashing display cases and getting away with $150,000 worth of trading cards. Meanwhile, Comic Emporium, also in the Panama City area, lost over $100,000 worth of merchandise to a similar smash and grab that took place around 2 a.m. An hour after that, burglars also hit PCB Coins and Cards in nearby Panama City Beach, where Bay County Sheriff's deputies say they found the front door smashed. A review of store video revealed 2 male suspects removing merchandise from the shelves and display cases before running out after 45 seconds. One of the suspects has a Red Sox jersey with number 6 on it, and it says Rico on the back. Just kidding. Some of the burglars were seen wearing lights attached to masks covering their faces. What the hell is going on?
And I know we got to get to Prov, and you got a programming note, but, we have guests on the show, regular guests now, who have shops, and we talk about the greatness of the shop. And Prov, going into the card shop, getting that FaceTime with the person. And the problem, I guess, the good problem is that everything's kind of going up in value. The hobby is booming. But with those stores, they have really valuable items in there. It's just terrible to hear these stories, because you want to maintain the card store and the comic store, right? But it sucks. It really does. It sucks.
I mean, it really is getting out of hand. But let's bring in Prov now. Yeah. Mike Provenzale from Heritage. Michael, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Everything is peachy keen. Hey, listen, a programming note, though. Next week and the week after, we are doing, if you guys recall, last year at the National, we did a special 2-hour show. And we are going to be recording. We're going to be not recording. We're going to be showing the first hour next Wednesday night at 6:30 of last year's National. And then the following Wednesday, we're going to be showing the second hour of the National. We had a blast, JM.
That was great.
We got all kinds of great guests.
That was
Mike,
awesome. Yeah.
We've got Derek. We've got Joe Orlando. We have James Fiorentino, Rico, John Brogy. There's a whole cast of characters.
And we had some great questions from the audience. People really, I was so happily surprised that we had a lot of people sitting in the audience asking great questions. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of giveaways.
Yep,
It was good. It was fun. It was a good. Actually, some of the audience got into this. Remember, in the second hour, we got into some pretty hairy stuff.
We did. We got some good debates going.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So anyway, that's next week and the week after. Looking forward to it. And by the way, we'll communicate with you guys on. If you watch the show on YouTube, we can watch the show with you and kind of communicate, or you can obviously watch it on the PSA Facebook page. I think is that all the business, Jam?
I think so, buddy.
Business?
I think so.
All right, let's bring in. Good for he's already in. Let's bring in Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auction. Michael, where are you? Are you in Dallas? Are you in Fort Worth? Are you in Dubuque? Where are you?
I'm in Dallas right now. We're at our beautiful world headquarters right by DFW Airport.
Now, I spoke to Orlando yesterday, and as we speak, he's on a plane heading your way.
We have our platinum auction closing this weekend, so all of our staff that's at our satellite offices all come into Dallas. It's a good time. Get to see everybody. Derek will be here, Lee Iskowitz, Dan Imler, and Joe.
Oh wow, the whole gang!
Bring everybody back.
Now, there's going to
be. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of drinking going on.
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
we'll probably have a beer or two. That might happen.
Does Chris feed you guys? I mean, does he have like a buffet? Or, is it every man for himself?
He does. We go out for a departmental dinner, and he takes good care of us. I'll say that. Dallas is a good spot for steak and barbecue, so usually that's what will happen.
Have you ever? Obviously, I know you have, but I've never been to Dallas, believe it or not. And that's, honest to God, that is on my bucket list. And the reason being because in a former life, many years ago, I was a social studies and history teacher, and I always wanted to go to the Texas Book Depository.
I can't believe you've never done that.
Never been.
Sixth floor museum. It's great.
Yeah, it really is.
Never been.
It's really awesome. It really is. It's good you mentioned that, Prov, because at the National, we had our departmental dinner, and, you can't beat Five Guys. It was just really nice of Zapp to. He actually let me get the regular burger with 2 patties, which was really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
No fries though, and everybody drinks water.
No, it wasn't. 1 bag of fries, it was it. Yeah.
Are you done?
I am. Yes.
Thank you. All right, Prov. Let's talk about you have an auction going on now, but then you have your first big one of the year is in May, correct?
So we have the platinum auction right now. Always exciting, a lot of one-of-a-kind items, 6-figure, 7-figure items, and some really unique pieces. So we get just as excited as anyone to see what they're going to go for, and it all happens this weekend. Then we're taking in consignments for the big May auction. That'll be one that's 3,000 plus items, 2 giant phone book catalogs. So we're still taking in material for that.
Did I tell you that I am submitting a card to that auction?
Very excited about it. This is gonna be on the front cover, right?
Card. Well, I think that would be nice on your part if you guys had it on the front cover. I'm not sure it's worthy of the front cover, but it's kind of
as long as it has that Zappala pedigree. Then
well, it's got the Zappala collection name on it, and it does have a little history. It was the card that was kind of like the catalyst for Ellen and I writing the T206 collection, The Players and Their Stories. So that's kind of a cool card.
Are you going to tell people what the card is, or do you want to wait till it?
No, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a nice card, but it's not like a Honus Wagner. Basically, it was the second card that I bought. It's a T206 Ty Cobb green background, and it's a PSA 3. But it was the second card I bought back in of that collection in 1998. And as you know, I've kind of gone into another direction, kind of focusing on memorabilia. So I thought I would just.
Can I ask a question to both of you as we kind of get started looking at the auction, because you have some Cobbs in the current auction as well, Prov, and both you guys can answer this. So we know it's Cobb, Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle, and Ruth always seems to be number one. Are there any instances where, because Cobb is like an enduring figure in the hobby, like Cobb cards, doesn't matter almost what they're rated, they're going to get a good take. Are there any times where Cobb jumps above Ruth, or is it always going to be like Ruth above Cobb and that kind of hierarchy?
I think Ruth's above him, and I think that would just really annoy Cobb too.
Oh, it would so piss him off.
You thought he was the better player, and maybe he was, better all around.
Yeah.
If you take the whole package into account, but there's no way that he could have been happy with the situation of everybody lauding Ruth and kind of moving past.
Absolutely. Well, there was a story where he was interviewing and said, I could hit home runs if I wanted to. I don't know if you know that story. He said, I can hit home runs. He says, but I choose not to because I'm not that kind of a hitter. And then he went up and smacked, I don't know if it was in BP or a game, smacked 3 home runs. That's right.
Do you remember?
By the way, hold on one second, James. Scotty Russell is watching us. He's in the green room. And Scott, I want you to know that I have some really cool stuff for you when I get back for one of your auctions.
Do you know a modern day hitter who always said that as well? Zap or
Mo Vaughn.
No, well, he did hit home runs. Wade Boggs always said. In fact, one year, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was 87. I think he hit 24 home runs. And he said he could have hit 24 to 30 home runs every single year. But that's not what his game was, you know? So, and I believe him 100%.
That's why Bonds changed his game and his physique, if you will.
Yep.
You know, McGuire and Sosa were getting all the attention. He felt he was the better player overall, which he probably was. But he said, well, if that's the way the league's going, he's going to adapt. So,
that's right.
You know what the sad part about that, Prov, is? He was a Hall of Famer before he started fooling around.
No question.
You know, and same thing with Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens was he was, I mean, right?
Those two to me, and people would say, oh, it's not sad. They did it themselves. I get it. But people who were there, I mean, they were right. He was the best,
Hall of Famers.
The best hitter and the best pitcher of that generation. Neither one had to do it. Neither one had to do it. And they would have been first ballot Hall of Famers. First ballot Hall of Famers. That is sad. That's sad.
That's the thing that really, I mean, what was his name? The kid that played for Baltimore. I could see his point. Brady Anderson.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Brady Anderson went from hitting 4 home runs to like 48 home runs.
Yeah. But he hit 50.
Yeah, he hit 50. Yeah, he hit 50 that one year. Yeah, right.
Well, we are chatting with Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auction. Michael, what's hot right now?
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last time I was on a few weeks ago, but the non-rookie Hall of Fame cards, we've been seeing some great results. And I was just looking at our auction right now. We have a 68 Topps Mantle in a PSA 10. We estimated it at 200,000, and it's at 280 plus the juice was still 4 days to go. So we're seeing a lot of people moving into it's not just the rookies. The rookie cards, that used to be all the big money went there and everything else was kind of forgotten. In our auction last month, we had some amazing results for Clemente mid-career cards. Of course, Clemente, all of his issues are popular, but, we were getting 6-figure results for some of his mid-60s cards, which is just kind of unheard of. And I think, there's a lot of people in the last few years have come into the industry or come back into the industry. And they're kind of eschewing what people like us who have been in it for decades have always said, well, these are the rules. This is how you do it. This is what's valuable, and this is what's not valuable. But when you get this influx of new blood into the hobby, they're going to do it how they want and go after what they're interested in. So, that's kind of nice. It's spreading the money out a little bit, and some of those issues that might have been overlooked are getting a lot more attention now.
Prov, as someone in the industry, I'm not only noticing a jump in Clemente in the hobby, but also I think there's a more of an appreciation for what this guy did. Not only his charitable work, which led to his demise, unfortunately, but also on the field. They're looking back at Roberto Clemente. I don't know if it's an offshoot of the steroid era, looking at guys who didn't use. What do you see as the reason people are now having a much deserved reappreciation of Clemente, both in the hobby and what he did on the field?
I've talked to a lot of people. It shows that, they collected when they were kids and then they kind of fell out of it. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, they've come back into it. And it's just easier to research, people. And if you're looking for the next big thing or who's underappreciated, Clemente is a name that comes up constantly.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. His humanitarian efforts and his tragic early loss, a lot of times that's the lead story about him, and what he did on the field is kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
But he was one of the best all-around players of all time.
All right, so hold on. I'm going to throw this out to both of you guys in your opinions. If he did not get killed in a plane crash, does he get the recognition that he gets today? I mean, did the plane crash, did him dying at a young age, does that contribute to his immortality or whatever you want to call it?
That does give you kind of the mythic quality to it. But I think, people appreciate you more. You know, if he had been going to these shows and signings in the 80s when that really exploded, there would have been so many people who were more familiar with him. And he's such a big name from the Latin community as well. And that's become such a huge part of the current game. You know, you have to think if he was still around, or if he had been around in the 80s or 90s, a lot more people would be familiar with him. You know, if he had been on doing interviews on Sports Center and just out there more often, you know, him dying so young kind of puts him on this pedestal. But sometimes when you put people on a pedestal, they're kind of far away and removed from the game.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do think he would be more.
I agree, Prof. There's a legendary aspect. I think it's the same out of sports with JFK, Elvis even, okay? There's a legendary aspect when that happens. It's unfortunate, but there is a legendary aspect. However,
at the local level, JM, Harry Aganis.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think that this is a guy who was in great shape. He loved to play. He had 3,000 hits on the nose, right? I mean, Roberto Clemente might play 5-6 more years even, right? I mean, think of the numbers, think of the stats. So I think he would have been even more actually of a legend if that didn't happen to him, because statistically he'd have been in an area in rarefied air that he didn't get to because his life was cut short.
Let's take Clemente, put him aside for a second,
Okay.
Prove. What about you know? And we hop on this because is there any movement with the guys like I don't know, pick Wade Boggs or somebody like I don't know, not Duke Snyder, but George Brett? Is there any movement there with those guys yet, or are they just not old enough yet?
I bet they'd say they're old enough. We all would, right? We've seen some good prices for Brett cards and memorabilia. We've had some nice bats of his that have done very well. You know, Boggs, I would say, is kind of status quo, sitting where he is right now.
He was such a great hitter.
He was, you know, and he's a great character too, which usually that adds a lot to it. Like Ricky Henderson's such a great character, and that adds so much more interest. But, you know, those guys have kind of retreated. You know, they're not out front as much. You know, we see a lot of the guys that are on-air talent or making appearances or have podcasts or whatever, their stuff is doing well. Like A-Rod material has started to creep back up, and people just like him as a commentator. You know, so I think those guys that stay in front of the camera and stay relevant, that can help their material a lot.
Interesting.
Prof, what are you seeing with memorabilia? And they're not necessarily versus, but I'm going to say memorabilia versus cards. We're talking about photos, you know, tickets. You mentioned bats. Is the market still cards first and then all that stuff second? Because I think we're definitely seeing a rise in popularity of that type of stuff. Ticket stubs, programs, photos, and things like that.
Cards still doing very well, but yeah, those alternate sides and smaller genres of the memorabilia, those have been doing very well. Tickets last year really exploded at the beginning of last year and crested. It's come back down a little bit, but it's still way above where it was several years ago when there was not much of a ticket market at all. The programs, Sports Illustrated, magazines, you know, that's a part of the industry that was almost non-existent 5 years ago. You know, $1,000 sale for a Sports Illustrated was notable several years ago, but you know, we've sold some for 5 figures now.
Are you kidding me?
So which Sports Illustrateds? I mean, are we talking way back? Are we talking Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali? Which ones?
The Brady is doing very well. Gretzky's first appearance, we sold the highest graded version of that for $30,000, which is a crazy price. Also crazy that his first Sports Illustrated was 3 years into his career. Can you imagine that now?
Let me ask you a question, Prov. We have about a minute left for this segment. I have a plethora of American Boston Red Sox program, starting from 1901 right through 2021. The first 20 or 25 that I have, they're all scored. Should I have those? I mean, can I get those graded? Should I have those graded?
You can get them slabbed.
I mean, is it worth doing that? You think? Because
the ones that are that old, I would say so.
Really,
there's always the protection factor, which those publications from back then, as I'm sure you know, can fall apart pretty easily.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But now
there's a lot of value in that. But the downside is that I like looking through those.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Like
it prohibits whoever, like for instance, the first one I have, it was Cy Young was a losing pitcher. It's all scored. It prevents the individual from being able to look at that.
Yeah. And I like it when it's scored. People want it, of course, to be as pristine as possible, but I feel like that's a part of the history with it. Somebody was there. Somebody was sitting in the stands. Probably wearing a hat for sure in that era, and keeping track of the game. And, that's a part of the game that is totally gone. Nobody scores games anymore when you're attending.
Yeah,
it's
kind of cool.
Saw somebody doing that.
And they're kind of cool. And, I went on Baseball Reference, which you can find anything on Baseball Reference. And I zeroed in on each one of those games. And the attendance at some of those games was like 1,200 or 1,300 people total. So, some of those programs could be a 1 of 1 or 1 of 5 or whatever. We don't know. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auctions is in the house. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards, and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectables Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Okay, we are back. And JM, before we continue chatting with Michael, JM, where'd you get that hat? What the hell kind of a hat is
This
that?
is a Celtics hat. It's unique. It's a
From
it's actually one of one. I'm going to be sending it to Prov. I'm going to get it graded. And,
let's slap that.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, before
is it worth more if I sweat in it?
Yeah. I think he would say so. First
There
thing
you go.
with any gamer smells it.
I'm either going to send it to you or make it part of the Zappala collection.
All right, listen, wise guy. Tell us about our friend Joe Drellick and the Philly Show.
All right, I will. East Coast Sports Marketing and Hunt Auctions are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show, the Philly Show, from Friday, March 10th through Sunday, March 12th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, Hall B, 100 Station Ave, Oaks, Pennsylvania. Shop over 250 of your favorite hobby dealer booths on over 75,000 square feet of sports collectibles heaven from the 1800s to present day. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly, and all kids 10 and under get in free. Autographed guests to include Baseball Hall of Famers Johnny Bench, Mike Schmidt, and Steve Carlton, baseball stars Pete Rose and Ken Griffey Sr., and many more. For more information, go to phillyshow.com. Remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
Those are all the guys that kick Rico's ass in the World Series.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, right. No
Right?
kidding. Hey, did you
Pretty-
write
pretty
this?
much.
Did you write this copy, or did we get this from?
No, actually, Joe Drellick wrote it.
Oh, then it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, Joe
That's
Drellick.
that's a great show. What's the mood going to be like in Philly after the Super Bowl? I think that settled down a
The
little
thing
bit.
is, Philly's had like a great year, but a bad year. Because the Phillies lost in the series, right? The Eagles lost. The Union, was it the Union? The soccer team lost in the finals.
And the Philly fans don't take lightly. I mean, they don't take that lightly.
It was kind of like '86 for Boston, where we had the Celtics, but the Patriots got mauled by the Bears. And then obviously the '86 World Series with the Mets. It was good and bad.
Cowboys fan, you hate to see that happen to Philly.
Yeah, I hate to see Philly fans suffer.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on. Hey, listen, speaking of the Celtics.
Sorry,
quickly,
Ray, our buddy Ray, right?
I know. Actually, Ray's going to be on next week.
I was
on
rooting
stage with us.
I was rooting for the Eagles.
I was too. I was voting for Philly, Ray. But listen, real quickly about the Celtics. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but highly recommend the Netflix two-part documentary on Bill Russell.
Dude, I watched it last night. And I had seen a lot of documentaries on Russell. This one was the best I've seen by far. It was so good that I was planning on just watching part one, and I ended up staying up late and watching the whole thing. It was that good.
Did the same thing. It was great.
Yeah.
I tell you, are you a basketball fan, Prof?
Oh yeah, big time.
Never a Celtics fan, though, right?
No, I'm not a Celtics fan.
Hey, that hurts. That's okay, though. We'll let it go. But anyways, it's a great
Tatum play, though. He's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch.
If you are actually, you don't even have to be a Celtics.
You don't
fan.
at all.
It's really good to watch this. Bill Russell was such a complex guy.
Yeah.
But you know something, I put him up there. As far as what he did for the relationships between blacks and white, I have him up there with Ali.
Oh, he's up there with all of them. Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown,
guys.
Everyone. Yeah, I mean, he was good friends with Dr. King. But you know what? Even what I learned more, I always judge things because you and I, but we've watched a lot of, we've produced shows for God's sakes, So I always judge a show the same way I judge a broadcaster in a game. Am I learning something I didn't already know? I learned a lot that I didn't already know about Bill Russell in that show. I highly it's 2 2-hour parts, worth the watch. And we talked about guys who maybe Boggs, Cobb, whatever. That dude could have scored 30 points a game easily, and at times he did. But it was all what they needed was defense. They had the offensive guys around him. They needed defense, and I think he subjugated his game big time for the good of the Celtics.
He did. There's no doubt in my mind. But, bro, think about this. Wrap your hands around this. 16 points a game, right? and averaging one season 19 block shots a game. 19 block shots a game, averaging. And then how many rebounds a game? 20 something.
And there was games where he got 40 rebounds. I mean, there was unbelievable. I know the game was different then, but still.
25 rebounds a game he averaged, and 17 or 19 block shots.
Yeah.
That's like, and he was 6'9".
Yeah.
That's never happening again.
Never.
No.
Put it in the books.
I mean, crazy.
And you know what? I know when
mentioning his documentary. You know, we were talking about Clemente earlier. Where's the Clemente documentary?
I mean, that's a thing that needs to be made, right?
Yeah, we need one for
the last thing on
the
last thing on the Russell documentary is Jerry West was interviewed as part of it, one of the talking heads. And if you've seen West on past documentaries, especially when it comes down to the Celtics-Lakers rivalry, he's still angry and very bitter, and he throws compliments around, like, as they say, like manhole covers against the Celtics. He was absolutely overflowing in his compliments about Bill Russell, which is the ultimate respect, because I'm telling you, West doesn't give anything out when it comes to the Celtics.
I agree.
You know, so that's a true
totally
emblem right there.
Well, what's going on with first of all, the modern card market softening a little bit, slowing down?
Softening a little bit. You know, I think it was just at such dizzying heights and got there so quickly. When any market does that it just explodes, there's going to be a time where it settles back down. People are able to stabilize and get a little surer footing on what's valuable. I mean, Brady's doing well. Mahomes is doing well. LeBron just became the scoring champ. I think there was a lot of people a few years ago putting a lot of speculative money into the modern market. You know, gambling has become so closely tied with sports. I mean, they have ads for it now during games. Could you imagine that 20 years ago?
No.
And I think that kind of brought in people who were willing to take those kind of risks. And, you know, they want the big payoff. But over the long term, if you let a market stabilize, it's going to settle back to where it is. And I think, you know, on the modern side, there is element of risk. You know, you never know what could happen. An injury could happen like that to anyone, and that's going to wipe out their value in the collectibles place. But, you know, there's still good material out there, good product being made, and you just have to be a little more careful. I just think, you know, it's gone down, but I don't think it's moving down. I think it's just getting to where it should be.
Hey, Prov, can you give us a couple of wow items, some notable items in the current? I know it ends this weekend, right? Your current auction. Can you just throw out maybe 2 or 3 things that people need to maybe take a look at?
We have 2 amazing DiMaggio gamers, one from 1948 with the Babe Ruth memorial patch. Ruth died in August of 48. It's the only one we've seen with that memorial, the Babe Ruth memorial on it.
Yep.
And then on the other end of his career, we have a San Francisco Seals DiMaggio gamer.
I saw that. That's very cool.
Beautiful piece. Speaking of Bill Russell, we have a really amazing Bill Russell photo, the first photo of him in a Celtics uniform. His material's been doing good, which happens, you know, when a legend passes, you usually see a bump. But that's a really unique Type 1 photo, and photography is an area that's been doing very well. And we have incredible Lou Gehrig game-used bat. It's one of the greatest bats I've ever seen. It's signed by him. It's from 26, 27, so the perfect era to have a Gehrig bat. And you know, it's one of the finest bats we've ever seen, and we've seen it all. So very interested to see where those items end up this weekend.
You know, just speaking of bats, JM, last week Rico co-hosted with me, and we had John Tobby on. And John had called Rico. Yeah, John, you know the bat that we were – somebody was it you? I don't think the auction, it was your auction, but there was a 45-ounce, a 44 or 45-ounce Rico Petrocelli game-used bat.
45 ounces.
Are you
Listen,
kidding me?
So John called me up. He says, Tom, he says, I have a bat here. It says it's a gamer, and it's signed by Rico, but it's 44. I think he said 44 ounces. He says, did Rico ever use a 44-ounce bat? Because it's going into an auction. So I said, John, what? I called Rico up, and we had a three-way. I said, I says, when did you ever use a 44-ounce bat?
In the batter circle or the on-deck
Rico
circle?
That's why he got it, to use in the batter circle, but then he decided to use it in 2 games. He went 0 for 6.
So he did use it.
Right. He did use it.
How the hell do you even swing that?
Telephone pole.
He said he tried it. He went 0 for 6 or something. Toby emailed me this morning. He says, I couldn't resist it. I won the bat at the auction for my personal collection. That's hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. Michael, what about autograph cards?
Autograph Vintage is doing amazing. We had some really remarkable prices for 52 Topps Mantle and Jackie Robinson signed, which no surprise there. Those are going to fetch a premium. But we have a great Clemente rookie signed right now and Pete Maravich rookie autograph. A lot of those are coming out of the woodwork. You know, that's something where it was a real no-no to get cards signed back in the day. So there's low populations for them. And I think people have just been sitting on them, waiting for that market to pick up. It started to pick up. So there's some great opportunities out there. And I think if you have signed vintage, it's a good time to start thinking about selling them. But, you know, those are great items. They're so rare, especially from people that have already passed. We had a great Bill Russell signed rookie that he signed in Celtics green as well. But yeah, we've been getting a lot of inquiries. You know, we do free appraisals, and those have been coming out of the woodwork too. People that have had these signed cards they got in the 80s at shows, and they've just been sitting on them. And now they're wondering what they're worth. So I expect to see a lot more coming out and coming to market in the next few months.
I just want to jump in, Zach, because you're right. With the autographed cards, it used to be a no-no. You have an item in your current auction, if I'm not mistaken. You have a ball signed by Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron in the auction right now. That also was back when I was collecting as a kid, you know, to get 2 names on the same card, even though it's Ruth and Aaron. Has that changed a bit? And talk about that item a little bit.
There's a lot of hot opinions about that.
Yeah.
I posted about that on our social, and there was, I'll say, a lively debate about if Aaron should have been added to a Ruth ball. I think if it's something like that where, you know, they're tied together because of the home run record.
Right.
It makes sense. You know, I still don't think people like if it's just random. You know, you see a lot of balls that were from, you know, an event or something where, you know, you got Babe Ruth and a boxer or something like that.
How about Babe Ruth and Rico Petrocelli?
No, I was just about to say that's what
there is a Babe Ruth and Rico Petrocelli signed ball. Rico has told he's told the story a zillion times. He said when the guy walked up to him, he says, "What are you kidding me? This is Babe Ruth's autograph." And the guy asked Rico, he was a rabid Red Sox fan. He says, "I don't care. I'd like you to sign it." So there is a ball out there with a Babe Ruth and Rico Petrocelli signature on it.
That's a one of one.
Serious question though, on the Aaron Ruth card ball, right? Mm-hmm. If I got that or whoever has it, and then I got Barry Bonds to sign it, does it go up or down in value?
I think it's going to go down in value, probably.
I think you're right.
I would say for people, if you have a great vintage autograph like that, Ruth or Gehrig or Cobb, don't get a modern guy to sign it.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to help the value unless it's something you want and you're going to keep. But if you're thinking about it as selling it, it's probably going to hurt the value. Get them on another ball and put them next to each other in a display or something.
Good advice.
So I shouldn't have had Denny Doyle sign my Ty Cobb ball.
No, probably not. Probably not. But there's a collector for everything out there. We'll find somebody for it.
Hey, Mike, NBA All-Star game, waste of time?
I enjoy it. You know, it's an
that's called a leading question
it's supposed to be different. You know, it's an exhibition. But that's, you know, the baseball All-Star game is so similar to an actual game because that's how the game is. You know, if you're going to pitch to somebody, they're going to have to take it seriously to hit it.
Right.
But I enjoy seeing the guys playing around, having fun, conversing, talking a little trash. You know, I think it's a good one. I'm glad they did away with the Pro Bowl. I never enjoyed that.
Oh, that was
Thing is,
horrible.
the skills competition and the flag football was a little better. It's still not there, but it's better than the game.
There's very
but
little.
How do they have an NFL skills competition and they don't have a 40-yard dash or 100 meters? Let's find out who the fastest guy is.
There's very little defense in actual NBA games now. What's the difference if you tone it down more for the all? I'll tell you what I do. What I don't like is nothing against the players. I miss East-West. I don't like the LeBron team and this guy's team.
Yeah, I didn't like that whole
I think
thing
the East-West is what made for the great when it was good.
Either.
I think people took pride in East-West. You know, the Birds and the Magics and guys like that. I'd like to bring it back to East-West.
I think that would bring some more of the competition back.
Yeah,
because players back in the day did take pride in what conference they were. Now players move around so much more.
Yeah.
So the allegiances would be switching. But I will say the 3-point contest is untouchable. That's one of the greatest.
That's great.
I agree.
Events in all sports.
It's great.
Don't touch that, I'll say.
I agree.
Mike, we have a few minutes left. What about sneakers? Sneakers seem to be real hot now, huh?
Yeah, that's a market that's really grown in the last 15 years. That's a market that's really benefited from the information age and just having so much information out there. It was something that was really hard to learn about, to know about 20 years ago. But now you've got entire sites and great sites dedicated to it. So there's a market for gamers, and then there's a market just for the retail shoes as well. And, when I was growing up, I never had good shoes or quality shoes or anything that would ever be considered a high resale value. But there's a whole community that does. Personally, I like the gamers better, but we just started a whole department devoted to retail sneakers. So once we open a department for something, there's a great community following it, and there's a lot of good investment money out there. We should let you have our sneaker guy on sometime.
That'd be great.
Hey, we got about a minute left. Golf flat. I mean, with the new influx of young golfers coming in, and now with this LIV, is golf picking up a head of steam at all?
I've seen a little upturn in it. Tiger's doing great, and he was back on the course this weekend. Yeah. That always helps the whole golf community. It ratchets it up a notch. He's the most popular one, and it's not even close. The LIV Tour has kept golf in the news, which helps. Golf kind of struggles when the season's not going on. It just kind of disappears and, out of sight, out of mind. I think the problem with golf is that there's just tough collectibles. It's tough to sign a golf ball, even when guys, it doesn't look great. Game used clubs, they're hard to authenticate. The provenance is tough to get. If you get a match worn something, it's going to be a polo. So, a lot of collectors, unless you're a fervent golf fan, those are the real collectors of golf memorabilia. I don't think you have a lot of people who just dabble in it.
I think you're right on the mark, though, Prov, with the Tiger factor. I mean, when Tiger was in a demise, whether it's the injuries or other stuff, he's just such a charismatic. He's just above everyone else in terms of charisma.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
So.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. Scotty Russell from the Collector Connection is going to join us. Hey, real quickly, one more Netflix recommendation. The Short Game. It's a golf game. It's a golf documentary about 7- and 8-year-old kids who are absolutely amazing golfers with, one kid birdied 8 holes in a row. 8-year-old.
I haven't done that in my life.
It's called The Short Game. I would take a quick break, and then Scott's going to join us. You're going to be with us right to the end, too, Michael. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Leland's Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
They are prized possessions, and you need a place to store them that is safe and secure. The eBay Vault is exactly that. An insured, climate-controlled facility with state-of-the-art security that guards your valuable collection around the clock. Your Vault account is protected by two-step verification and easily accessible through eBay Collection. And everything stored in the eBay Vault is backed by Authenticity Guarantee. Buying and selling is a seamless experience. When you buy an eligible card on eBay, it can be sent directly to the eBay Vault at checkout. Or, if it's already in the eBay Vault, you can just keep it there. And selling from the eBay Vault is just as easy. Every card in the vault has been expertly inspected, detailed, and photographed, so you can quickly sell it with a pre-populated listing. And if your buyer chooses to withdraw their card from the eBay Vault, we handle packing, shipping, and insurance. And same goes for you. If you want that rare rookie card in your hands, you can have it shipped to you at any time. Collect like a pro with the eBay Vault.
And Zap, the eBay vault is climate controlled, insured, and protected with 24-hour security. Soon, you'll be able to send cards already in your collection directly to the eBay vault. They will take high-quality photos of the front and back of the card and document all the details for your viewing pleasure and to make the listing-to-sell process seamless. For more info, go to ebay.com, connecting buyers and sellers globally.
Well done, JM.
Thank you.
Well done.
I'm a good reader.
Yeah, you are a good reader. You can't speak good English, but you're a good reader.
Huh?
Very good. All right, let's bring in Scotty. Scott Russell from the Collector Connection. Scott, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Hey, Scott.
You're in the. You know, Mike. You guys know each other, right?
Yep. We've done the show before when he was on.
Yeah. So, Scott, you got something going on right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about
it. Our second auction of the year, another post-war auction. Neat selection of graded cards all the way up to like a PSA 8 Bob Gibson rookie, an 8.5 59 Mace, some really sharp late 50s stuff. A really broad selection of Mantles back to 53, kind of in a collector grade, then all the way through the 50s and 60s, and they kind of get better in grade as they go. But then, kind of your interest now is some neat memorabilia stuff. We have a Jackie Robinson jumbo postcard from NBC from his appearance on Meet the Press in 1957.
Wow, very cool.
It's a little bit different. We actually last lot of the auction. We thought we'd kind of give it a weird, interesting spot. But we have like a Joe DiMaggio ink blotter from the 40s, and so a fun, eclectic, kind of our usual nice mix of stuff.
I know. I mean, that's your specialty. I mean, you really mix it up, and you attract collectors from all walks of life and all different genres of collecting, cards, memorabilia, just pretty cool stuff. When does this auction end?
It ends on March 5th, so it just started. A lot of time yet.
Good. Very good. Very good.
Scott, we've been talking the last couple of shows about, in fact, even Zap brought up George Brett earlier. You have some 1970s stuff there, 70s tops, 72 tops. Can you talk about that era a little bit? The Mike Schmidts, the George Bretts, the guys that were kind of that mid-ground, when Mantle was gone, before the modern.
Now.
Yeah.
And so I think in any pop culture collectible, when you have the guys our age who can now have a couple of spare bucks, you're going to see the stuff from their childhood go up because it's the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
So you're seeing things like, the Fisk rookie or the Schmidt rookie or the Brett rookie, there becomes more demand for it. So obviously it pushes the prices higher. The competition is good for us.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much, and that holds true because that's what's happened with basketball cards. 90s basketball cards. I mean, with all due respect, not a lot of people are interested in collecting a Clyde Lovellette card anymore, or pick someone, Bob Dandridge. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's it's the stuff from the 90s and creeping into the 2000s, and of course. The young guns are real interested in the stuff today, the Tatums and the Morants and those.
Well, basketball is interesting too, though, because so many great players just get flat ignored. Now, part of it is the junk era problems, but I mean, when's the last time you saw anybody get more than a couple of bucks for like a Sean Kemp rookie?
Yeah,
no, it's a great.
And there
point.
weren't many more dominant players than Sean or David Robinson for that.
Great,
matter.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Hakeem
Jason
Olajuwon.
I mean, there are a lot of players in that era, right? Gary Payton, right, who was Kemp's partner. I mean, there's so many great players in that era who don't get any.
Bird, Magic, and Jordan take the rest of the dream team. You can pick them up for $20.
Right.
Michael, chime in here because Hakeem Olajuwon was a phenomenal player.
I agree, and I find Barkley surprising because he is such a huge
figure still. Yeah.
Still. And Tim Duncan is another one who one of the greatest players. You could say he's in the top 10, and you never see huge prices.
Yeah, and the other thing is, other than Barkley, and he got close, but go through the teams, right? I mean, you're talking Isaiah Thomas, right? I mean, the Pistons won. So these guys were also champions. Barkley was not, but Tim Duncan won numerous titles. David Robinson was a champion, and it just seems they should be getting more juice, but they're not.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, you take that.
Like I said, they're fighting the era. That doesn't help them.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you take that 57 top set, that first top set.
Which we have lot number 1 in the auction.
That's right.
Complete set.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 57 Topps complete.
Wow, that's cool. What is it at? Right, you're just starting it, right? Is it graded?
It started this. The Russell and the Koozie are graded just for
what is the Russell
people's
graded?
peace of mind. It's a 1 because of the centering. It is actually miscut.
Because I bought a complete set years and years ago. I paid $400 for it, for the whole set. and listen, this is Tom's stupidity.
Is this in 57?
Yeah, I paid for. Ellen and I were at an auction. I've told this story before. We were at an auction in upstate New Hampshire, and I went there to bid specifically on a T206 Ty Cobb, bat off the shoulder. I had a budget number that I wanted to bid on, and I got outbid. I was pissed off. But we're walking.
So you're going to spend that money and show them.
Now, this is years and years ago. So I'm walking out the door, and there's like 8 people left in the auction. This is in upstate New Hampshire. And one of the last lots, there's this binder, and it's a complete 1957 Topps set, ungraded. I says, Jesus. I says, I don't know a lot about this stuff, I stuck around. $400. No, $450. I want it, right? So I send the Russell, I send the Koozie, I send the Heinsohn. I send 5 or 6 cards off to PSA to get graded. The Russell comes back a 6.
Oh my God!
Right.
That's like an 8 on a normal card.
Yeah. Guess what I sold? I'm sorry, I take that back. The Russell came back a 4. Guess what I sold the whole set for? Tom, being the great businessman that he is,
doubled your money.
$1,800. I sold the entire complete set for $1,800.
Let's put it this way: my low grade set started on Sunday, and it's over that already. So.
I'm so disgusted with myself. But anyway, we'll let that go. Hey, Scott, do you have anything regarding autographs? I mean, autograph cards, autograph memorabilia?
Not as much as like the January auction. That's always kind of really autograph heavy. But there's always a smattering of stuff. A little bit of old football autographs, some early Heisman winners and stuff like that. A smidgen of autographed baseball cards. A lot of comments from sets that guys are working on, trying to work on the autograph sets, which those guys are a level of dedication that's so far beyond anything I can do.
You know what's really cool, JM? It's really cool. You've got Mike Provenzale from Heritage Auctions, and you've got Scott Russell from the Collector Connection. Obviously, 2 completely different size companies. Point being, though, but the point being is that both of your companies are tremendous for the hobby.
Yeah.
And right, JM? Am I wrong?
No doubt. And both, I think both companies and both the auctions that you guys have, we talk about the roots and but there is something for everyone. All right. You might have to go past, page 1 or page 2, but it's worth going there. It's worth going a deep dive, because there is something for everyone. And speaking of both you guys, I'd like both of you guys to comment. You have a 54 Topps Yogi Berra, Scott, in the auction, right? Can you guys just both talk about Yogi? We've talked about guys who maybe should get more attention in the hobby. This guy had everything: the stats, the championships, the leadership, the charisma, right? He was a personality. Why isn't Yogi more popular? Or is he?
It's a hard question. It's like almost like Yogi oversaturated somehow. Yogi was everywhere. He signed everything. He was the face of the Yankees, especially after Mantle passed.
Yeah. Plus, he's got an ugly
people
rookie
lose
card.
how great he was.
I think catchers struggle too, because Campanella is another one way undervalued.
And Bench and Johnny
3-time
Bench too.
MVP, Bench.
You look at Bench versus Ryan, rookies in the same set, even multi-card rookies, and it's a fraction.
Yeah.
But yet Bench is a much higher rated catcher for his position than Ryan is against the other starting pitchers.
Good point.
Bench is probably the greatest of all time. Maybe Yogi's in the conversation. Maybe Dickey. Maybe a couple. Ryan, all-time great pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but nobody's calling him the greatest pitcher of all time.
Totally agree. That's a very, very, very good point. It's weird. It's weird how in this hobby there are certain cards that you think would have some juice to it, and they come flat. And then there are other. Listen, I've said this a zillion times. I still scratch my head over the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle. I can't comprehend. It's not like there's 30 of them out there. You know what I mean? And I know it's supply and demand. Joe Thomasula said a couple of weeks ago it's all supply and demand, but I mean, there are.
But why is the demand?
Exactly. There are zillions of them out there.
I've had 3, so.
It's just unbelievable. We have about 2 minutes left. Michael, what do you? Am I wrong, or is it just supply and demand?
I think part of it is branding too. That's been the face of the industry. How many catalog covers and ads and magazines has that been on? That image is really emblematic of the 50s too. It really suits that era. And I think it has good branding and good marketing. Wherever that comes from, it's worked out for it.
Yeah, I mean, you ask somebody who's not in the hobby, and that's one of the 2 cards they can name.
100%.
Good point. Can someone do something with my 51 Bowman Mantle, please? Please, I'm begging.
And now we know the ulterior motive for this rant.
I'm begging you. Michael, would you mind putting it like on the cover of your next catalog?
Sure, absolutely. If it's got the Zappala pedigree, then
I mean, what the hell, right? All right, listen, we're just about out of time. Scott, when is your when does it end?
It ends March 5th, and I'm going to get a real cheap last-minute plug-in. This just came in on consignment. Cool. Let's see if we can get you a good shot of Mr. Wagner here.
Very cool.
Nice.
So that's coming up in the spring, our pre-war auction. We're looking for consignments. But I literally just, when you saw me disappear from the green room, I was picking that up.
You opened that.
Very cool. Scott, are you going to be at the Philly show?
The Philly, Chantilly, and Strongsville for the first time.
And Michael, you guys will be there too, right?
We'll be there. Not me, unfortunately. You'll get Derek and Lee out there.
Okay, well, two of them make up one of you, so it doesn't matter.
Fair.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming. We won't talk about the behind the scenes why you guys are here. We will let that go for another time. But I want to thank you both very, very much.
A pleasure.
JM,
anytime.
JM, have a great week.
All right, buddy. Great show today. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, to our viewers and listeners, again, thank you so much for the support. It's been off the charts. We're thrilled. And with that being said, happy collecting.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.